Hi, welcome back. In our last video, we talked about decision fatigue and why every choice feels impossible. Today, we're diving into one of my favorite decision-making frameworks. If you're drowning in maybes, if your inbox is full of things you haven't decided about, if you're stuck in I'll think about it purgatory, this framework might change everything for you. And yes, I know you've probably heard of hell yes or no before, but we're doing the ADHD version, which is a little bit different. If you don't know me, I'm Shannon Schroeder, F-Bomb coach, and I help ADHD women build sustainable systems for their businesses and their lives. So let's talk about maybe for a second. How many things are currently in maybe status in your life? That email that you haven't responded to because you're not sure if you want to say yes, that collaboration opportunity you're thinking about, that project idea that you're considering, that client inquiry you haven't answered. Here's what you need to know. Every single maybe is using up mental energy right now. Even though you're not actively working on it, your brain is keeping it in your working memory, cycling through it, wondering about it, feeling guilty about it. Maybe isn't a neutral holding space. It's a constant low-level drain on your already limited executive function. So you've probably heard the advice, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And in theory, that sounds great. It's simple, it's clear, but if you have ADHD, you know this doesn't actually work, because here's what happens. When someone emails you with an exciting opportunity, it feels like a hell yes, because the novelty and the dopamine hit. But then tomorrow, it starts to feel overwhelming, and you want to say no. Or everything feels like a no, because you're in decision fatigue mode, and every opportunity feels overwhelming, even if it might be a great one for you. Plus, saying no triggers rejection sensitivity. What if they hate us? What if we're making a mistake? What if this was the opportunity? We can't trust our immediate gut reaction because our emotional regulation and dopamine-seeking behaviors make our gut unreliable. So we need a different system. Here's my adapted version. We've got 3 categories instead of 2, but here's that key. The third category isn't maybe, it's a pause for evaluation with the system. So if something's clearly aligned, it's a hell yes. You have clear alignment, it energizes you, it's an obvious fit. Hell no means that there's a clear misalignment, it drains you, it's obviously wrong. But pause means it's genuinely unclear. You need more information or evaluation, but you're going to use a system to figure it out within a specific time frame so it's not sitting in limbo forever. The goal is to move things out of the uncertain state as quickly as possible because uncertainty is what drains you. So let's talk about how we can actually make this work. When an opportunity comes in, we run it through this quick test. These aren't deep philosophical questions. These are fast gut checks. So it's not like you're never listening to your gut. You just can't rely on it for everything. So you ask, does this align with where I'm trying to take my business right now, or is it a shiny object? Do I actually have the capacity, or am I already drowning? Would I be genuinely excited to tell someone about this opportunity, or would I be embarrassed? And here's a real one. Can I honestly see myself following through, or am I just excited about the idea of it? If you can answer yes to 4 or more of these, it's probably a legitimate hell yes. If it's 3 or fewer, don't say yes yet. Move it to pause, and we'll evaluate it better. Now let's look at the hell no markers. Is this pulling you away from what you're actually trying to build? It might be a great opportunity for someone, but is it taking you off your path? Are you only considering it because you think you should? Is this about meeting someone else's expectations? Would saying yes mean sacrificing something that actually matters to you, like time with family or working on your signature offer or your mental health? Are you only considering this because you're afraid of missing out or because you feel guilty saying no? If 3 or more of these are true, it's a hell no. Even if it's a good opportunity, even if someone else would love it, it's a hell no for you right now. And that's okay. Okay, so you've got something in your pause mode, right? It's not obvious yet. yes or no. And here's what you do. You set a specific deadline. And I mean really specific. Not this week, not when I have time. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Thursday morning. 48 hours maximum. During that pause period, you gather whatever information you need. Maybe you need to check your calendar capacity. Maybe you need to ask a quick clarifying question. Maybe you need to run the numbers. But you're not just letting it sit there indefinitely. You're actively evaluating it. And here's the critical part. At your deadline, you must make a final call. Hell yes or hell no. No extending the deadline. No moving it to a longer maybe list. Pause is temporary. Put it in your actual calendar. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Decide on podcast interview opportunity. Make the appointment with yourself to make the decision. Here's how you evaluate during your pause period. Take your opportunity and score it honestly on 5 criteria, 1 to 5 for each. Alignment. Does this actually support my goals for this year, or is it interesting but off track? Capacity. Do I genuinely have room for this, or am I already running at 120%? Energy. Based on similar things I've done, will this give me energy or drain me? ROI. What's the real return? Not the fantasy return, the realistic return in money, exposure, skill building, or even just joy. And opportunity cost. What am I giving up to say yes to this? If you score 20 or higher out of 25, that's a hell yes. Under 15, it's a hell no. And if you're in that 15 to 20 range, it's one of those genuinely close calls where you get to make a choice about, without beating yourself up either way. You just have to make a choice. But you still have to choose by your deadline. And if you're in that middle range, you can flip a coin. No guilt. The decision's done. That's what we need to do. So, let's address the elephant in the room, rejection sensitivity. Saying no can feel terrifying because our brains catastrophize the response. We imagine they'll think we're unprofessional, flaky, or difficult. We'll worry that we'll never get an opportunity. We convince ourselves we're making a terrible mistake. But here's what I need you to hear. A no right now doesn't mean no forever. You can say, this isn't the right fit for me right now, but I'd love to stay connected for future opportunities. Protecting your capacity is professional. Way more professional than saying yes and then flaking out or doing a half-assed job because you're overwhelmed. The right opportunities will come again. And briefly disappointing someone is way better than burning yourself out and disappointing everyone, including yourself. Your RSD is lying to you about how catastrophic saying no will be. Here's a problem you've probably experienced. Sometimes everything feels like a hell yes because your ADHD brain is seeking novelty and dopamine. New opportunities always sound more exciting than the work you're currently doing. That's literally how our brains are wired. We prioritize interesting over important. So when you're getting that hell yes feeling, ask yourself these reality check questions. If I had to drop everything and start this today, not this week, not this next month, but today, would I still be excited? What am I not going to do if I say yes to this? What is getting pushed aside? Is this interesting because it's new or because it's actually right for my business? And here's the big one. Will I still care about this in 3 months, or is this just a passing interest? And you have to be honest with yourself for these questions. On the flip side, sometimes nothing feels like a hell yes. Everything feels overwhelming, impossible, or exhausting. What's happening here is decision fatigue. You're depleted. Your decision-making capacity is offline. In this state, saying yes to anything feels like too much. So here's what you do. First, recognize that you're in decision fatigue mode. You're not making poor choices. You just don't have the capacity to evaluate properly right now. Second, default to no for anything that is not genuinely urgent. If someone needs an answer right this second, the answer is no. Third, give yourself 24 hours before saying yes to anything. Tell them, let me check my calendar and get back to you. And finally, focus on recovering your capacity before making big decisions. A temporary no that you can revisit when you're in a better headspace is way better than a yes you'll regret when you're overwhelmed. And here's something I need you to hear. You have less capacity than you think you do. Not because you're broken, but because executive function challenges mean you're already expending energy just to do the baseline stuff that comes easily to neurotypical people. That's the ADHD tax. It reduces your available energy by 30 to 50% before you even start your actual work. Plus, every time you say yes to something, you're not just saying yes to one thing, you're saying yes to all the future decisions and actions that that thing requires. And when we overcommit, we don't just get busy, we shut down, we freeze, we can't do anything. So your capacity is genuinely your most valuable asset, more valuable than any opportunity. Protect it fiercely. Say no to good things so you have space for great things. Turn down interesting projects so you can fully commit to the important ones. Your future self will thank you. I'm going to give you a permission slip you probably need. You're allowed to say no. You can say no to good opportunities, not just bad ones. You can say no to things that would be great for someone else but aren't right for you. You can change your mind after you get more information during your pause period. You can prioritize protecting your capacity over meeting other people's expectations. You can disappoint people briefly and still be professional and kind. And you can choose what's right for your business, your brain, your life, even if other people think you should choose differently. This is your business. These are your rules. This is your capacity, your choices. Nobody else has to live with the consequences of your decisions, just you. So make the choices that serve you, not the choices that make everyone else comfortable. Thanks for hanging out with me and learning this framework. If this clicked for you, make sure you're subscribed because we're going even deeper into decision fatigue solutions this month.